Yo, what's up guys, it's Talon. Today I'm going to be coaching a Master Peak Kai'Sa and Caitlyn player who's a main of Caitlyn, but also wanted to learn and get better at Kai'Sa. So generally this video kind of focuses on really understanding the lane phase and why controlling the wave is so important as an AD carry, but we also talk about team fighting and positioning and kind of keeping track of your spells and the enemy spells and things like that as well. A lot of the typical mistakes that AD carries make happen in this video, so I think it's a pretty valuable one to watch. And then at the end he asked me a little bit about me climbing and like how I've climbed and my main roles and stuff like that. So if you're also interested in that, you can see that at the end of the video during the notes part. But as always, I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you're interested in coaching, just DM me on Discord, Talon1169, or to the link in the description. I'm a rank 5 sovereign autofill player, so I can help you with every role, and it's just $15 for an hour of that. So anyways, let's get right into the video.
Okay.
So yeah, so you said lane phase a lot of times, you're like over aggressive, so maybe we can pay
Yeah.
attention to that. We'll kind of see.
And in the mid game and late game, I'm kind of lost too.
Yeah.
And I'm not dealing enough damage. I don't know when to take towers, things like that, and how to get consistent gold.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a tough matchup. So it was a bit. Varus Swain is kind of hard.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
Varus is like a hard champion, but Wayne I would say is like relatively easy to lane into because all you have to do is dodge that one
yeah,
spell, and then like you're pretty
yeah,
chill. But yeah, one thing
but
here, since you do like when that one minion was there, you could have waited to hit that one until this wave got closer, because then it would make the wave have to come a bit further to you, and then it'd be easier to farm this because you are
okay.
getting poked out. Does that make sense
Yeah,
or
okay.
no?
Yeah, okay.
Generally, though, I do
Yeah,
like you're hitting the wave properly and like focusing on prio. Like the way you've played the lane so far is mostly fine. Don't stand next to your teammate here though. They have Varus, so he'll Q you if you're next to your teammate. So you need to make sure you're
yeah,
spread further apart from him. So just
okay,
like hover towards more like the bush side here. Typically, it's best for the ADC to be on the left side and for the support to be in the bush. But when your support is dumb and then goes towards that side, you need to make sure that you just stay on the right side for the most part. And then here you should just Q
okay,
this wave earlier, just to try to get again
okay.
level 3 quicker. But again, so far you're still playing the lane pretty fine. The thing is we saw Vi here, so we kind of just want to chill, which again is what you're doing.
Yeah, but thing is, like, Leona didn't need to do anything really aggressive.
That's okay though, like we're fine with going even in this matchup because you outscale Varus very hard. You could just take the fruit here too, like I don't see why not to take the fruit, but I mean,
Yeah.
overall it's still not a big deal. And then also your wards, you're sitting on 2 wards. You could just ward the tri-bush, like you know the bush right up to above
Oh
you,
yeah.
just because you have 2 wards, so we might as well. And then like we would know if someone's engaging on us or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Like even here, ward that bush, you know, the one that you're close to, but we're not using our wards. So that's kind of the first like bigger thing, is the fact that we haven't used any wards. And then again, you would have
Yeah.
saw her here earlier, right? And then it would be a bit
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
So, and again, go up ward. But overall, I mean, this lane matchup, you pretty much all you're doing is waiting for your teammate to go in. You're just hitting the wave, and then when your teammate engages, you go forward. So like the way you've played it is pretty fine. You should have focused on the CS there though, and then got the
Yeah.
fruit after.
Mm.
And then don't recall right when a wave is coming like this. If you recall right when a wave is meeting, the enemy will get, if they're smart, they'll push that wave and they'll get a better back than you because they'll have more gold. So you would rather, as soon as the wave meets, push it really quickly and then recall. And on Kai'Sa, you need to rush your first item. So you're building, are you building Terminus first or what are you building first?
Yeah, Terrence.
Yeah, so go full Terminus, don't go boots because you want your evolve, right?
Okay.
So go boots after Terminus rather than going
Alright.
boots first.
Okay. I
And
see.
again, we'll write these like more specific things out, like the biggest details we'll write out
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah, I forgot on this part of
Okay,
the
so
game.
here there is a pretty big problem with your targeting. You could have 100% killed Varus here, and you end up killing eventually.
Mm.
But when your teammate is being engaged on, and you have like they can't target you both. And so when he's being targeted really heavily by the AD carry there, you need to target the enemy AD carry as well, because you're not going to kill Swain. He's really tanky, right? It's going to take way longer. You would way rather be targeting the Varus. And so as soon as your teammate engaged, you need to try to get in a position to hit the Varus as much as possible, rather than just sitting and farming the wave, because you could have easily killed and your Leona probably could have survived as well if you just targeted Varus right away in the fight. So
Okay. The thing is, like, I don't really lock lock the various when I play. I don't lock the people I hit, or really rarely. So
you just auto attack whoever's in front of you, basically.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so
that's it.
a couple other things. Focus the wave before going and rotating for warding like you did. Like, you know how you rotated for
Yeah.
the scuttle and for warding? You need to push the wave right when it comes to mid lane, or to the middle of your lane. Make sure you push it really quickly, then do other things. Because if you leave it like that, you'll lose out on a lot of gold. So every time, and it's the same with recalling. So before you recall, unless you're really low and you like have to recall, right? But otherwise, push the wave, then recall. If you want to go for vision,
Okay.
push the wave, then go for
Every
vision.
time.
Yeah, basically
Okay.
every time. Now, okay, like say your teammates are fighting right away. You might have to give the wave to fight, you know, and help them immediately.
Okay.
But usually you want to make sure that you help your team after pushing the wave, because you get significantly more gold from that. It's just a lot more efficient. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
But like the way you're
Yeah.
playing the fights and everything is pretty good. Like the way you're playing the lane phase is mostly fine. You're just, again, you have to be quicker about pushing the waves first and then doing something, or just when your teammates are going in, being quicker about following up and targeting the correct people. So I would say, like, do you know how, do you have it where you can drag your auto attack thing onto someone, or no?
I do it sometimes, but I mess up pretty much
Have you tried portrait
sometimes.
lock?
No, I didn't.
Do you know what portrait lock is?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. And so again here, look at the same thing, by the way. Push the wave first. Eventually you do, but like you notice how you could push the wave a lot earlier. But yeah, portrait lock is a nice way if people do get stuck on top of each other to target the specific person you want to. But yeah, I would say so far lane part, like pushing the waves before you do things, and then your target priority are the two main issues so far.
Okay. And like the hardest thing is in team fights. I don't know who to target if I portrait lock.
Yeah.
So when I want to focus the carry, like I'm afraid to miss the positioning and get instantly killed. So
Yeah, so
really,
like the main thing to decide, and here if you just
yeah,
exhausted him
yeah.
earlier and then you ulted onto him like even earlier when your teammate was going forward, you'd be a lot better. But like when you did it, you waited until your teammate is like already gone in, and then you went for the fruit, and then once your teammate was really low, you started going in. So it's kind of the same thing as before. So that is again something to keep in mind. But for your earlier thing about when to target who, generally speaking, you'll start most fights front to back, like hitting the tank or hitting whoever's in front of you, you know, just getting damage off, stacking up your lethal tempo and whatever. And then what you need to do before a fight starts, you need to keep in mind and think to yourself, look at the scoreboard, look at who is threatening to me, who is scary, who can I kill, who do I need to go on to, these types of things. And the way that you can determine it is, for example, look at their team comp. Maybe they have an assassin, right? And maybe you have stasis for the assassin. So you're like, okay, if that assassin goes on me, I'll stasis. So I'm not worried about the assassin having ultimate or whatever, because I have stasis. But then maybe you're also like, well, they have a Leona and I don't have flash. So I can't go forward until Leona uses her engage, because if Leona engages on me, I'll die because I don't have flash, right? So you need to think these different things in mind. And then once you see that ability out, that's when you can start going aggressive. And then for who you're targeting, again, maybe the Varus is really fed. Well, then you need to wait until Varus uses his flash or his ultimate, and then you can ult onto him. Because if you ult onto him before he has ult, or before he uses his ult, he'll just ult you and then you'll die, right? So you need to keep track of the different spells. And when you don't see these spells out, just hit whoever's in front of you. And then again, once those spells come out, you start to go more aggressive and play the fight a lot more aggressive. Does that all make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's because most of the time I engage without thinking if they uh, put the ultimate first,
Yeah, yeah.
or if they are have flash or something like that. So
Yeah.
here again, I
You should just
kind
recall
of,
at this point, to be honest. Like, you're
yeah.
pretty low.
Well, you'll see just it's pathetic.
Oh, do you get
You
sniped
know
here?
what? Yeah,
Unlucky. You're almost recalled. You're almost back. But yeah, we could have backed earlier there when we were really low on. But another thing that happened a little bit before that as well, you farmed the Krugs, but you had a wave. Again,
yeah,
push the wave,
yeah,
then farm the Krugs. And I know I say it a lot, but that's because that is one of the main things that you need to keep in mind,
yeah, yeah.
because it'll make you a lot more efficient with everything you do. So that's something I want you to think about a lot. But yeah, as well, I mean, here you got really greedy and didn't recall, but I think that's more an obvious thing. Like, you know that that's a
Yeah,
mistake, so it's okay.
yeah,
It
yeah.
happens.
Now, so I'm trying to help mid,
Yeah,
but
because Dragon is spawning, it's okay to come like this towards
yeah,
mid lane. That's perfectly fine. But then yeah, we should just immediately go Dragon now and just start hitting it, which is what you do, so that's good. And yeah, I would just start hitting Dragon if I'm you.
okay.
I guess
Well,
you go
I
for
can
wave,
do,
yeah.
yeah,
So like that's kind of the thing. When I talk about, you know, I want you to focus the waves and the gold and all that, the kind of one time where it's less important to focus on, and this is a good play by you here, but the one time where it's less important to focus on the waves is when there's an objective up. Here you could hit the tower, but you could have just hit the tower, but it's fine. Either way, the one time where it's kind of okay to not like get perfect gold and farm super well and everything is when there is an objective or something, because fighting over that objective can be like game winning, and those are like the things that really matter for the like overall game. So that's kind of the one time that you can deviate from what I'm typically telling you with farming and everything. But also another, does that make sense though, just to be clear?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
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 another thing though that I wanted to mention as well, you're quite scared in situations where you really don't need to be. Like
yeah. It's a
like
lot.
you flashed the Aatrox when you could have exhausted him and just autoed him and you could have killed
Yeah, yeah,
easily. And I think probably the reason is that you're not thinking about what abilities they're going to use in response. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
what's Aatrox going to do
And
at that range? He's going to Q you, right? One Q, you can just use your third ability to dodge the Q really easily. It's not going to be hard to
yeah,
dodge. And you have your exhaust, so it's not going to do much damage to you. And then if he hits you with one Q, you'll flash the next Q and you'll still not die. But instead, you're flashing right away, and then you're not able to get as much damage off. So you have to keep track of the
yeah,
actual abilities they're going to use. The same thing with Vi. The only way that Vi could have engaged on you, because she already ulted in the fight, was by Qing onto you. But
yeah,
Q is, it takes, you know, time to charge up. And so
yeah,
if you can walk at her and then just, again, third ability away from her if she starts charging her Q, or exhaust her when she starts charging her Q. But you don't need to be so scared. You need to think about the actual fight, the actual like ways the enemy will respond. Like Vi just ulted here, for example, so you can be really aggressive and just start going in because they have nothing. And like you play this fight how you should. But it's like you can easily go in a fight like this once they use their spells on someone else. And those are really the things that like it doesn't look like you're aware of. It's like what spells the enemy have. Is that because you're just not thinking about it, or do you not know how a lot of these champions work?
I don't really think about it because I know I'm really squishy and always getting one-shotted when I go too aggressive.
Yeah.
So maybe it's my positioning for sure.
Yeah.
But also I'd say my I don't expect to do much damage to the tanks and getting caught
Isa
by
kills
them.
tanks really well, and this build kills tanks really well. So, like you
Mhm.
want to, in your stacks, your like plasma, you know, like the passive or whatever. Like
Mhm.
when you get that to pop on someone, it's gonna do a lot of damage to a tank. And so like it is important to hit the tanks when you see them. And here, like you're very spread out from your team, which is a little bit of an issue, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
But like another thing is when you're just hitting a tank, you're stacking lethal tempo. And so like you
Yeah. Yeah.
want to, again, like I said before, you keep in mind the spells that matter, and then you just play, you just to hit the front line, to stack up your lethal tempo, to get, damage on the front line. And then once you see these spells come out, that's when you make your aggressive play. So it's not about playing aggressive or passive. It's not that you're playing too aggressive, too passive, whatever. It's that you're not actually taking into account like the real factors of the game that matter, which are, again, what spells are up, how are the enemy going to respond, who is the strongest member of the team. When you're really strong, you want to play more passive because the enemy are going to engage into you and your life matters more. But in a game like this, when your team is really fed, you can make an aggressive play to try to just kill one person or to dive onto someone because you're not the most valuable member of the team. So if you're even able to just stall some time and get some damage off, that's enough. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll write out notes after you go over the the other replay as well.
Okay. So the other one is a bit longer.
Yep.
And a really difficult game. Really difficult.
Gotcha. You have a Lulu. That's fun. I love having Caitlyn Lulu.
Yeah.
Emilio Tristana is pretty OP though too. Like.
Yeah. For sure. You will see. And especially Heimerdinger in this game.
Oh, yeah, dude, enemy team comp is actually so OP. Oh my god, like they have a crazy team comp.
Oh yeah, I was really taken back by them.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have a pretty decent comp too, though. Like, it's definitely not the end of the world. I think the early lane is probably the biggest time for you to get an advantage because you have a huge range advantage on Tristana early game. So that's really like the main thing. Like, you should just even walk into this bush initially, like where she is, and then just sit on the edge of the bush. Don't go like far up, but then again, you should walk up even further here because you have the range advantage. So you want to be on the wave first. So like, if you're walking up more to try to get an early auto on Tristana, for example, it might pop her bone plating initially, like how you do now. It looks like she doesn't have bone plating, but like you wouldn't know that until then. And then going for the minion after pressuring her off by autoing her is a lot better because now when you don't have control of this wave like this, like you could have even first ability the wave right when it came. When you don't have control of the wave, she's able to push you back, and it doesn't matter if you have the range advantage because you're getting pushed back. But if you're like, if you first ability the wave right now, for example, try to hit first ability and her like you do now, and you get control of that wave, you need to walk up as soon as you're getting level 2. So right when you're about to hit level 2, you need to start walking at them and trying to pressure them and get these autos, for example. Like how you do this, for example, is good, but you're not playing at the maximum range that you could be. Like your champion has a really big range advantage on her, but you're walking so close to her. You can play a lot more on the edge. And I think this is actually a big thing that you need to understand. If you hold down the auto attack, it will just auto them as soon as they're in your range. So if you go ahead.
I know that, but I'm not doing it too frequently, and I think I should.
Yeah.
And I just forgot time by time.
Yeah, so that's something definitely to try to do and target lock them with the portrait lock and then do that on them, and it'll be very beneficial. And then here, because you have your boots, you should just push the wave really quick and then recall right away. So like instead of trying to pressure them, you're not really going to kill anyone here. And so yeah, then we end up kind of getting, we can see in hindsight as well, we end up losing our flash and everything. But right when you have the lane priority and you have your like boots on a recall and you have them pushed under their tower, just crash the wave under their tower really quickly and recall for your boots, because then one of two things will happen. Either they won't recall and then you'll get back and you'll have boots and they won't, so you're way stronger. Or they will recall and then you get control of the next wave because they recalled later than you. And then that's also beneficial because you can start pressuring the turret as they're still coming back into lane. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because I have more move speed to poke them too.
Yeah, and the range, the move speed, and significantly more damage from boots. So all of those things, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I finally backed a bit late.
Yeah. And so we're going to see now they're going to get here first, right? And then that means they get control over the wave. They get level 5 first. And then now we don't have the pressure in the lane when our best time in this lane is the early game, right? And so not having control over that wave is very problematic, which we've seen multiple times. The Tristana has gotten control of the wave when if you use your first ability on the wave quicker, or you're walking up after you get that level 2 and autoing them and pressuring them, you'll be in a much better spot. But now, again, pushed under our tower, they're able to scale for free. When, like, for example, I'm sure you've played against a Caitlyn and you felt really annoyed by how much she's poking you before,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
you're not making them feel this way. Like they
yeah.
feel completely safe, you know, and they should feel
Mm,
really annoyed and be like, oh my god, I hate Caitlyn's early game, because that's the strong point. But for you, you're just farming
mhm,
minions all the time, and the
yeah,
reason that you're farming minions all the time is because you're never taking control of the wave and you're never pushing it quicker than them. And when they push it quicker than you're stuck clearing minions, and then now you're stuck here again. You see how again you gave control of the wave, so now the enemy get to push it first.
yeah.
You're pushed under your
Hmm.
tower and you can't pressure them. So again, same thing over and over again, means that we can't take any advantage of the early game lane, and then they are just going to outscale us. And that's probably why you felt so annoyed this game, because you let Tristan Emilio scale, and then once they scale, obviously they're going to be stronger than you because you're Caitlyn versus Tristan Emilio. So
Mm, yeah, that's my problematic. Like I'm never too aggressive. I'm never because I get like poked down pretty hard, like in different matchups.
yeah,
Um, so I kind of decided to play it more safe, but I should have played
yeah,
more aggressive in those one.
definitely. And there's a couple things too there. You could have trapped the when you're pushing them under the turret, put traps on the left and the right of the
Yeah.
turret, but also you could have trapped the fruit because they're going to go for the fruit. So make sure you're utilizing your traps once you push them under the turret, because the real benefit of Caitlyn, and this is the problem that a lot of people think about when they play Caitlyn, they try to kill their laner, and then like
Mhm.
they're like, oh, it's a failure if I don't win lane because she's like seen as an early game champion, and it feels really bad to not win lane. But the thing that really is beneficial about Caitlyn is you can poke the towers so freely when you push people under their turret. So you use your range advantage to get control of the wave, like we spoke about. You push them under your turret, you use your traps on the left and right side to make it really hard for the enemy to walk up, and then you just slowly whittle down that turret, and then you're usually going to get a plate or two before the lane ends. And so you're
Mm.
also going to have them poked out, you're going to have the plates, you're going to use your recall advantage, that you're going to now have item advantage because you got better plates, you're going to get your boots, you're going to get all these different spikes by recalling properly, and you're just going to slowly poke them out and whittle them down. And then the times that you're actually going to get kills and win the lane really hard is either when the enemy really overextend, or when you get a gank. But when those things don't happen, your goal is not to get a 900 gold lead, solo kill them 6 times. Your goal is to get an
Mm.
extra 2, 3, 400 gold, recall on a slightly better spike than them. You know, you get your full boots recall, maybe they're stuck getting a longsword and the like regular brown boots, you know, not a full boots finish. These types of small advantages are what you're really trying to eke out when you have a poke laner like this. And then when the opportunities do come for kills, then you obviously take them, but that's not actually what we're really looking for as much as just getting poke and getting control over the wave.
Okay. Okay. I see. Well, like the wave management, I
Yeah.
have a lot of issues with it.
And
So that's why
yeah,
I don't carry much that I
yeah, you're a
should
very safe
have.
player. I can tell that like you get to the, you know, you don't lose lane a lot, but you don't win lane a lot. You're
Yeah.
fine. When your team is better, you're going to win. When they're worse, you're going to lose, and you're going to have a 50%, like
Yeah.
your win rate's 49%. That's why. It's, you know, it's you're winning the games you should win, you're losing the games you should lose, and that's that. But
Well, I got some health issues that
yeah,
that issued my gameplay. So that's where I had like focus issues with medication and shit. So,
yeah, that makes sense. So that's definitely
so but
understandable for sure.
I was like 56 win rate last season.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So, and also I tried new champs and I suck at it this
Yeah,
season.
trying out new champs. I mean,
So
is Caitlyn your main champion typically, or?
yeah, 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 yeah. I play her almost every time, but I tried Lucian and Kaiser, but uh, but I sucked at it, and I'm trying to get a hold of Kaiser.
I think that you can continue definitely like playing Kaisa in some games. Like the way you play Kaisa is fine. I think the mechanics are fine and everything. And I think it fits how you play very safe and scaling, because that's what that champion can do really well.
Mhm.
And I think these like things about controlling the wave better will allow you to scale easier and get pressured less. Because I think one issue that you might, and one reason you might not push the wave as much as I'm telling you to, is because you probably feel like you're going to get ganked if you push a lot, right? Like I'm assuming that's one.
Yes. Yeah.
And so there's a couple things, or a couple of reasons that this doesn't actually matter that much. The first reason is, say that you push the entire wave and they kill you. All they get is 300 gold, right? They're just going to get a kill. Oftentimes that kill is going to go to a jungler or someone else. And what that means is that sure, you go down a bit of gold, but 300 gold's nothing like that's going to lose you the game. What will you lose you the game is if you get ganked and then they have a wave under your tower already, because then they're going to get 3 plates, right? 4 plates. They're going to get gold. You're going to lose the gold from your wave. So that play will be like 1,000 gold almost lost, right? Versus 300 gold lost. And this is assuming that the enemy jungle ganks you successfully. Oftentimes, if you're playing aggressive but you still have your flash up, if they gank you, you can react in time if you're hovering towards the left side or like poking from the bush to get your extra passive like on your headshot, and all of these different factors. So even if you do get ganked, it's not the end of the world if you have wave control, because then the wave's being pushed and you're not like losing as much. The enemy can't punish you as hard. And then when you get a gank, your gank's going to be more valuable, because it's going to be when the enemy are poked under their tower, and if you kill them, you get that 1,000 gold swing. So it's not about never dying or never getting ganked. It's about the fact that when you do get ganked, it won't be as negative, and when you do get a gank yourself from your teammate, it'll be a lot more positive. Now, obviously, there's times where you do need to keep the wave on your side of the map, and that's often going to be like if you know the enemy jungle is here and you just have to stay under your turret because you don't want to get like ganked, and you know that you're going to 100% get ganked. You know exactly where he is, right? Like there are situations where sometimes you need to do that. So I'm not saying to never freeze. I'm just saying it's going to be something more rare. And then again, something here in this gameplay is that you didn't recall before the objective. So it's kind of the same as I'm telling you to push the wave and then recall. You also need to recall before the objective so that you can spend your gold and have better mana and all of these types of things, like better HP too.
Yes. I should just backed out.
Yeah, you could have recalled like 30 seconds ago, and then you've been at your dragon fight right away, and you'd be a lot stronger.
Yeah. I had my item spike too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so yeah, to reiterate the main things that I'm thinking that you need to focus on, pushing the waves before you do other things, before you recall, before you ward, before you go fight, all these things. In the lane phase, try to control the wave more and push it more so that you can poke the enemy under the turret and take these small advantages. Recall on your proper item spikes, the boot spike before the dragon like here, these different types of recall angles, and then make sure you're keeping track of the enemy spells before you go in. Like again, charge up your lethal tempo on the tanks in front line, and then once you see the important spells like a Talon ultimate or a Zed ultimate or Leona engage, then you go in and play more aggressive, right? So I think those are the real main things to focus on and to improve on.
Okay.
And I'll write them down at the end so that you have like it's a little easier to remember. But
okay, cool. Yeah, because that's a lot of information. So
yeah. And another thing is, when you are trying to improve, I would go fight with your team here, but when you are trying to improve on these things, I want you to only try to focus on like 1 or 2 at a time. Don't focus on everything, because it's really hard to fix everything at once. So what you should do is just go into like, say, your next week or your next 2 days or however many, focus specifically on one of the things I told you, and then really just try to get good at that. And then once you feel like you got good at that, then go on to the next thing and keep doing that until you get better at them all, kind of.
Okay, I see. I see. And I would like us also to try to play Draven, but
Draven is a hard champ for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I know, but when I see the ladder and the Draven ladder, where the main Draven players are all high challenger, like it's you can carry so hard, and I would like to, but
I'll tell you, most of the top Draven player. I mean, I don't play any EU, but I'm pretty sure it'd be the same as NA. One, there's not very many Draven players in NA that actually climb really high, but even two, most of the top Draven players, they're duo with a Thresh or they're duo with a Nautilus. Like if you're playing Draven with all of these enchanters all the time, it's gonna be pretty hard for you, Like
Yeah.
you can play if you're really good at the champion, but generally Draven Thresh, like that's how you're really gonna climb and win games or with
Yeah,
an
like
aggressive lane.
there is a top ladder Draven, I think is like 5, and he's called Duo Draven, so I think he's playing with like you said, a Thresh or something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I would say when you go into a solo queue game and you find a support who's playing well, try to add them. Like, it's just more fun to play ADC with a support. It
Yeah,
just is. So there's no reason not like if they play well and you're playing well, you're winning lane. Just say, just go in the chat and just say, like, you're playing really well. You wanna add me after this game, and then sometimes they say yes, and then you find people to do it with, and that always helps.
yeah, sure. Because I wanted to to record the gameplay, but I had a hash support, so that didn't went really well.
I think. Wait, were you playing Caitlyn?
Yeah,
I think Ashe Caitlyn is a extremely, extremely good lane, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously they have to
but
play well, but I think
yeah,
like
no,
with how I'm telling you to control the wave, for example, if you're playing Ashe and Caitlyn, you have so much range and damage in the lane. Like you push them under their tower, and it's so easy to poke free plates, and like the enemy cannot play.
the
Obviously, again,
problem
your Ashe
is
has to play properly, but yeah,
no, is was just stealing minions every time,
yeah.
so couldn't do much, and never ulted, and so kinda hard.
Yeah, yeah. I obviously they have to play properly. So if they played bad, I get why it would be hard. And that is the thing about
Mm,
not playing duo queue can be hard. But again, these things that we're talking about still will be helpful in duo or solo queue. But obviously, yeah,
yeah,
duo queue definitely is always just better for ADC, especially.
yeah, this was like supports or oh, here I never,
Uh yeah.
yeah,
I mean that was a bit greedy, but I like the idea just a bit much. But you played that
yeah,
fight really well up until that point. Like you spaced very well and played mechanically very good. It's just yeah, the little greed thing, which again, it's kind of I think the same about thinking, how are the enemy going to respond? I think
yeah,
that's really the main thing to think about. Is will an Aatrox one shot me if I flash onto it? Which that's more of an obvious answer.
mm,
But the other things about what spells do they have, what flashes, ults, and those types of things, and then going aggressive. Whereas you used your flash a bit early there. But I think honestly you would have killed him if he wasn't in the bush because you then had lost vision. So if you had
yeah.
vision the whole time, so I get the idea there. It's unfortunate.
There's also many times where I forgot to use my flash or my exhaust or my ult. It's like this was obvious to use, but I just forgot. I don't
Yeah,
use it, and like maybe aggressively to get the first blood or defensively to just survive.
gotcha, gotcha.
So yeah,
And here
that
again, mid wave. So in the same way that I tell you early game to make sure you get the
mhm.
the bot wave and then rotate, when you're later on in the game, usually you want to get the mid wave and then rotate. So you should have been
Yeah,
on that mid lane wave that's stuck under your tower now. You see how you're losing all of
mm,
those minions.
yeah,
If you got that first and then you rotated, it's easier because now you're stuck here in kind of an awkward position, and your team is you're just constantly bleeding gold kind of this whole time. So that's just something to
yeah.
keep in mind.
I watched your video about this,
Yeah.
but this time I forgot.
Yeah, sometimes
And
you forget it happens. But yeah, now we can see even the top wave getting pushed too, so we're
yeah,
kind of too focused on
yeah,
the fight. Like you should be recalling
and
right now, for example. But now you're Xin Zhao kind of had to recall there. So and now we're
mm,
fighting without Xin Zhao, which also is a little scary. So yeah, we've just been stuck here a lot too long when we could control the wave. But
mm. Yeah, the problem is like Vigar is can use like 3 spells, or is just like doing the tanking,
yeah,
so we don't have enough damage to. And even Jin Zhao got really CC'd by everyone. So
yeah,
here I tried my best.
yeah. I think the way you're playing the fights is pretty decent. Like you're getting a decent amount of damage off, and like you're positioning pretty fine in the fights. I don't think there's anything
Here,
wrong with the fighting. I think it's a lot about how you set up the fights. You know, again, being in the mid wave
yeah,
earlier, so then you're just in a better spot. But once you're playing those fights, like this is good, and then you should probably just target the Baron here. I would say it would make a lot of sense.
yeah.
It's possible you guys die here, but I think you can
We
trap over the
did.
wall.
Spoiler. We did.
Yeah.
Because Heimerdinger is,
Well, you could have if you exhaust him. By the way, you kill him.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Again,
yeah, the spells.
forgot about that. Yeah. Oh yeah, it was.
I mean, we still
Oh,
have the Baron, so it's possible to stall the game. So
yeah, but they got immediately the Elder just after.
yeah. No, it's definitely hard, but because you have the Baron, like a lot of times it's hard to end just with Elder. It takes Elder and then Baron. So when you get the Baron like this, as long as someone takes it and then just starts hitting the waves, because you like one shot the waves with the first and third
Mm.
ability of the Baron, then it's usually like okay.
The problem is like what you will see is
Try to fight.
I just don't know why she did that, but
Yeah, like the thing is,
whatever.
you guys just should not fight this. You should just give it up and try to stall. So as long as that happens, it's fine. But
Yeah, I didn't fight, but like Lulu is just
making a
an
T-Rex die.
horn, yet just like he just fight. So
Yeah.
what do you
And
do?
again, here you mostly just focus the way. I mean, you're doing correctly. You know what you should do. This is unfortunate. I don't know what your team's doing.
Yeah,
But,
I did defend. I said defend, and that's it.
yeah.
But Lulu stays in front, and so yeah,
It
happens what
still should be
happens.
fine, even in this scenario, if she plays it. Third ability, the thing, but
No.
yeah, that's rough.
So yeah, and they got all one-shotted after that. So
Yeah, I mean, I think the ending here, there's not much you could do at this point against some of the earlier things that we spoke about that would be more able to possibly win the game. But yeah, like at this point, it's kind of unfortunate.
like here, Xin Zhao getting caught, but and Lulu too. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't do much. We just waited for the end.
Yeah, I mean, you might want to skip through. I don't think is there anything else to really learn here? It's probably just like the
What's to end? We can see how
yeah.
we lost.
Yeah, one thing though, your word should be on the Baron. Don't ward the top side
Yeah,
because
I
there's
know.
only an objective on that side. So
Yeah, I know that. I did a mistake.
yeah.
I think Orn and Jinzhao tried to stall it. That's what I saw. So I just back out because I didn't know what to do. Like Heimerdinger just one shot it.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, it's pretty hard for you to do much once they've scaled this much. Again, I think a lot of the earlier things are really what makes this hard. But once you're into
Yeah,
Melio, Tristana, Aatrox, Heimerdinger at this point
yeah,
in the game, and Nunu too, I mean, like, it's pretty impossible at this point. So, again, I think a lot of those earlier things, which I'll write these down then.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm just gonna go to our Discord messages and start writing down the
And
specific
so
things to you.
the
So
stat at the end.
yeah. So do you see your Discord messages? I'm just gonna start writing out the main like points to improve on.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing is control waves more and push more often. And then two, after
And
pushing, and ask questions or tell me to stop if you have anything you want to say about it. But after pushing, then we can recall, rotate for vision, rotate for fight, etc. So just again, controlling the waves, being more aware of the waves first, then fighting after. And the only time you deviate from that is a lot of times at objective fights where then you might want to go right away. After this, target priority in lane. Not how you spell priority, but it's fine. You know what I mean? Priority in lane, make sure to target the enemy ADC when they are targeting your support.
Do I have to do this for like every champ I play?
This is a typical thing, but it depends on the situation. For example, if the enemy are Soraka, right? Soraka is going to heal her AD carry, so you'd rather target Soraka, because otherwise the AD carry is going to have way more health, but she can't heal herself. So it depends on the situation, but basically, typically you want to have one specific target that you're targeting, and really focus them down. So that's another thing I'll write. Try to have all of your damage in lane on the same target.
Yeah.
To the best of your ability. Obviously, sometimes that won't happen.
Yeah, if the support is like very in front.
Yeah, then you have to target him. But like again, these are all general things that will just usually help you out, and it kind of depends on the specific scenario.
Okay.
Then for like fighting and whatever, make sure to hit frontline early in fights. Stack lethal tempo. And then wait for key spells. I'm just going to say key spells. Again, this would be like ultimates and whatever to come out before going in. And again, think about the specific spells before the game or before the fight starts. So again, is it, you know, a Talon ultimate? Do we have stasis for a Zed ultimate? How are we going to respond? How are the enemy going to respond to us making these plays? Just think more about these types of things. What were the other things that we spoke about? I mentioned a couple other that I can't remember now specifically that we mentioned.
There's a question too.
Yeah.
It's about like Quicksilver stays. When do I buy it? When? In what situation? When in the game? Because I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I bought it too early. Sometimes too late. So
Okay, so you just mean when, like, what time to build Quicksilver / Stasis. You know when to build
yeah,
Quicksilver versus Stasis, but you mean when should you
yeah,
build it? Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
typically after third item is when
Okay,
I would often build it. But if we are really ahead, then after second item,
okay,
if there is something, if the enchant is very good in the specific game. So like, say that you're really ahead and the enemy have Zed Fizz, right? Then you
yeah,
can get stasis right after second item because you're ahead. But if you're behind in the Zed Fizz, then you don't want to build the stasis so early because then you're going to have no damage to kill Zed and Fizz, right? So you want to typically, again, after second item, you can build these enchants if you're really ahead. Otherwise, after third or even fourth, depending on how important the enchant is. Like again, some
okay.
games you don't need an enchant for the majority of the game because there's nothing that dangerous and you're just going to get it after you get full build. So, but does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. We talked about the lane phase. We talked about target priority. Talked about controlling the waves, team fighting. I feel like there was one more thing that we talked about, but now I can't remember the specific thing.
Maybe I want to talk about atomization.
Yeah, we can talk about itemization. What is it that you would like to know?
Like in different situations, like when there is like a Lulu with a lot of shielding, because the the item for it is like good, but it's not like a mortal reminder for anti-heal.
It's not a crit
So
item, yeah.
So it's not like
I
so
would
I
not
don't know.
build. I would not build Serpent's Fang on
Okay.
Caitlyn. I just would not build anti-shield on Caitlyn pretty much ever. The only time you can maybe build anti-shield on Caitlyn is say you finish 4 items and on your 5th item you really just need the anti-shielding. Maybe then I
Okay.
would do it. But that's like if they're like set Maokai with a gargoyle, Lux, Kaisa, like crazy amounts of shielding, right? So unless it's really crazy, I wouldn't. For Kaisa, if you need anti-shielding, you can do Oceanite Trident instead of Riftmaker. So when you build Riftmaker, you could build Trident instead for anti-shield.
Okay.
So I'll just write that. For anti-shield on Kaisa, you can build Trident instead of Riftmaker.
Yeah. Do we talked about the summoner spells? I don't know
I
if
mean, Summoner
it
spell's
was.
pretty straightforward. It's just like,
Yeah.
obviously always flash. Just go Exhaust into Assassins
Okay.
and Ghost if you really don't need Exhaust. But like for me, generally speaking, I think that Exhaust is going to be better most of the time, and then Ghost is kind of like if you just really don't need it for whatever reason, you know, then you can go Ghost. And then maybe Barrier into lots of poke.
Okay. What? So you forgot something we talked about?
Yeah.
What could it be?
I might just be stupid and that might be everything. This is gonna be a video probably. I mean you can watch back the video anyways.
Yes.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
probably those are the main things. If I think about it, I'll message you the specific thing that I remembered. If you do you have any other questions, otherwise we'll like wrap it up here.
Is that maybe the the fear of getting ganked, the too safe, or
Yeah,
we
that really comes
already?
into the controlling the waves and pushing more often, like
Yeah.
the first point that I wrote.
Okay.
That's really what that is kind of
Okay.
referencing.
Okay.
So, and then again, yeah, after pushing, we recall rotate for vision. And that's the really thing that I want you to focus on initially is your lane phase and target priority. And then, yeah, like, oh, I think it might have just been use target lock more
Ah, yeah. That's it.
and hold down auto attack more often.
Yeah.
Hold
Okay.
down auto. Yeah, I think that's like what I was trying to attack more often. I think these are the main points that we had. So again, yeah, any other questions about anything specific?
I can do this with every champ,
Yeah,
like
100%.
even with Kaisa or every
Yes.
other
Every ADC,
ADCs.
every champion, like generally
Okay.
speaking, I don't use target lock 24/7. Sometimes I drag onto
Yeah.
people. Sometimes I just auto if they're right in front of me and it's really easy. It's more get used to that when you need it, you know, when someone's like grouped on top of each other. Just try to use it more often. It's not as big of a deal as some of these other things, but still can definitely be helpful.
Okay. I see. I see. I see. Well, I think you you answered all my questions. So thank you a lot for
Yeah,
this coaching session.
of course, man. Good luck. I hope it
And
goes well.
yes, thank you, man.
Yep, see ya.
And I'm looking forward for your next videos because I find it really interesting and really concise compared to other people.
I
So
appreciate that. Thank you.
keep these videos going.
Yep.
And yes, I saw what you told about it. Like you don't really want to go big on YouTube. You just enjoy doing this.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, it's nice that it helps me pay for college, but yeah, I'm
Yeah.
definitely not too concerned
Okay.
with like
Okay.
growing a ton. But yeah.
And so, what are your hours of streaming daily?
Yeah, typically I stream from roughly 6 to 10 p.m., which would be 4 hours from now would be when I start, and then I stream for 4 hours at a time. But sometimes I start an hour earlier, and sometimes I stream for an hour later, but roughly 6 to 10 central.
Okay. And so your main role is AD carry too?
I do not have a main
Like,
role.
yeah.
I'll tell you just how it worked. So originally the first role I hit Challenger on, and this is when Challenger was the highest rank, was ADC. I was rank 1 Varus, that was the main champion. And then I wanted to get Challenger on every role, so I had accounts for every role, and I got Challenger on every role. And then now I just play autofill. So I don't really have a main role because I've played thousands of games of every role. So
Okay, and what role do you find the easiest to reach challenger?
if I'm playing solo queue, jungle is the easiest. If I'm playing duo queue, then ADC is the easiest with the support. But yeah, solo
Okay,
queue is jungle.
yeah, yeah. It's because I see a lot of like in the top ranks, it's every time junglers.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, it's not like easy to master, but you when you master it, you can go really, really high.
Yeah,
I,
definitely. I mean, you
I,
can climb on
I
every role,
guess.
which is something that I think I've kind of proven too,
Yeah,
like with playing autofill and everything. So,
and even in like solo queue support,
what about it?
you you succeeded.
So I did play duo queue when I played support
Yeah.
a lot. Like I didn't purely. I've hit Grandmaster playing only solo queue support. But when I
Okay.
got Challenger and Sovereign, I did play duo for like half the time.
Okay.
So yeah,
Because I find it really difficult to climb like really high as an AD carry in solo queue.
it is definitely. I mean, for me, AD carry is the hardest role to climb in solo queue, but it's still completely possible to climb in, even if it
Yeah,
is more
yeah,
difficult. And again, if you try to find people in your solo queue games, you can sometimes meet another duo or two, and then that's a good way to also make it easier to climb.
yeah, for sure, for sure.